Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Sorry if my hair looks like trash, I don't care. Now, in today's video, we're doing a Crested Gecko care guide. Okay, so for some reason you've decided you want a Crested Gecko. If you want to know why I don't recommend them as pets, there will be an iCard up here. If there's not, there will be a link in the description. Now, if you want to know why I don't recommend them as pets, that's why. If you want to know Crested Gecko pros and cons or any other videos about Crested Geckos, they'll probably be linked in the description of this video. Now that we got that boring crap over with, let's get into the video. So, after you've thought long and hard about getting a Crested Gecko, you need to know what to get first, right? And that is the tank. Now, it really depends. Are you planning on getting an adult Crested Gecko or a baby Crested Gecko? Now, if you're getting a baby Crested Gecko, like a small baby, I wouldn't recommend going with too huge of a tank. Now, this tank right here is my sister's baby Crested Gecko tank, and her baby Crested Gecko is like really small. And I believe that you can give it a decent sized tank as long as it's finding its food. And this gecko is named Cinnamon. Cinnamon Toast Crunch is her full name, and it does find its food fine, and it drinks and everything fine, so that's good. And if you want your baby to just be safe, you can keep your baby gecko in a 6-quart tub, or you can keep it in an 18 by 18 by 20, 12 by 12 by 18 Exoterra, or what my sister has in here is a 10-gallon high, which I don't even know if they sell this size tank anymore, to be honest with you, but yeah. Now, I keep my Crested Gecko Coco in a it's called a 20-gallon high hexagon Thrive tank, and it's like really cool. It's probably a little bit smaller than an 18 by 18 by 24. 18 by 18 by 18 by 18 by 24s are like almost 30 gallons. This is a 20-gallon, so it's a bit smaller, but Coco loves it, and I see him exploring it every single night. If I'm awake till 2 in the morning, but that's in the video why I don't like Crested Geckos. And then, so yeah, that's what I use for size, tank size. You can use 18 by 18 by 24. You can use a 20-gallon high for like a juvenile. You can kind of do whatever you want, for like tank size or anything like that. So honestly, whatever makes you happy is what you can do for tank size. I really hope my face has been in like frame this whole time. If it hasn't, well then, that's gonna be stinky. And also, sorry if there's like a lack of B-roll in this video. It's because my Coco, my Crested Gecko, actually hates me, never lets me handle him. So yeah, that's why. And now, so you got your tank. You're gonna be wondering, what equipment do I need? Now, unless you're doing a bioactive tank like I have here, you don't really need too much equipment. Now, I would recommend, honestly, a light on there just for a day and night cycle, even if it's not bioactive, just so they know when it's day or night, because, I don't know, they should know when to be awake and when to be asleep. So I feel like it's really good to just have a light on there for a day and night cycle. But for me, like, I wouldn't need a light if I didn't want one, because it is next to Crush's tank, which is my common female common snapping turtle, and it's also next to my Betta Squirts tank. So yeah, it does have plenty of light, but my point is I have a light on there. This light is the Biodude Grow Light. If you do order from the Biodude, make sure you remember their shipping is super expensive if you live in Massachusetts. So yeah. Now, with your equipment, you can get a waterfall. They have like cool waterfalls that you can use in your Crested Gecko tank, but that is not required. Also, I do recommend going bigger for your Crested Gecko if you can. Bigger is always better, in my opinion, for adult Crested Geckos at least. Now, you've got your equipment, you've got your light, which you don't need, or your UVB, which you do not need, but is good to have UVB. Coco is probably going to be getting UVB soon, who's my male Crested Gecko. But UVB, pretty much, quick analogy on it, gives reptiles calcium. Same thing the sun would do. Now, sorry, if you guys live in a cold climate, then you might need some heating, some external heating, but where I live, my room stays about 75 the whole way, so it's fine. That's the ideal temperature for a Crested Gecko, is 75 degrees, and you want around like 60-ish to 70-ish% humidity, all the way down to 50%. Now, we've got over your tank, you got over your equipment. Now it's time for your substrate. Now, what are you going to use for your substrate? Now, There's so many different substrates out there. If I were to list them all, I'd be sitting here. There's Eco Earth, which is okay. There's my DIY substrate mix, which is like, you know, the best. That video will be linked in the description. How I make my tropical DIY substrate. There is Repti Bark, which, I mean, it's okay. It looks nice. It doesn't hold too much humidity, so if you already live in a humid climate, that's pretty cool. Do never use Repti Carpet with a Crested Gecko, or honestly any animal. But yeah, there's a lot of variety. You can use Cypress mulch, Repti mulch. You can use, there's so many different substrates. For me, I just use my substrate mix, also mixed with the Biodude substrate mix, and it makes a really good mixture. Now, again, if you're doing bioactive, you're going to need a drainage layer, but this video is not all about bioactive, even though I would recommend it when your Crested Gecko gets older, but it's not all about it right now at the moment. So, you got your tank, you got your equipment, you figured out your substrate. You may be wondering, well, what's next? Now, we're going to talk about the decor. Now, this is honestly my favorite part of setting up any animal tank. Decorations. Now, I love decorating any animal enclosure in the world. It is just the funnest part ever. And now, for Crested Geckos, you have a ton of options to decorate. You can use fake plants like the one I have here. You can use live plants like the ones I have in here. You can use silk plants like the ones I'm showing you guys here. Like, they have silk plants, and then they have harder, like plasticer, whatever you call it, plants. And then they have like stand-up tree plants. They have, like, you can use log hides, like against the glass so they can hide in there. You can use coconut hides. There is so many different, but you can use cork bark, but in my rule, you want to give your gecko at least 2 hiding places where they can feel like really secluded. So for mine is tucked up against the fake plastic plant, and in the cork bark are Coco's 2 favorite places. Now, you want to also have some places they can hide and also be out in the open if they want to. So in the snake plant is another one of Coco's favorites, and on that little vine thing is another one. But yeah, not about my gecko. So yeah, you can use really any decoration you want. Decorating, that's all up to you. Can't really screw that up too much. So yeah, just make sure you have a hiding place and a lot of plants. There's some people who watch my channel who have a Crested Gecko set up with not a lot of plants, so I definitely recommend adding more plants, because plants are the best and they love to climb and hide in the plants. Now, you've done your beautiful setup. You've got the beautiful decorations. You can use wood, grapevine, mopani, anything like that. And now you're wondering, well, how the heck do I feed my gecko? Because you've been reading places that they don't need to eat insects, which is really not true. So let's talk food. Now, this is a controversial subject. I can make this a whole video, and you know what? I probably will make this a whole video, but let's talk food. Now, there are these mixes called Pangea and Repashy, and there's tons of more, but we're just going to focus on these. Now, these claim to be a complete diet with insects and everything in them, and in the wild, Crested Geckos come from New Caledonia. And they were actually originally thought to be extinct, which is crazy, but they come from New Caledonia, so there's a lot of fruit. And a lot of fruit like falls on the ground from the trees and rots away, and the Crested Geckos come down and eat that fruit as it's rotting because it's nice and sweet and tender. So Crested Geckos do eat fruit, that's true. You can make your own like fruit mix as a treat, obviously not as like a primary diet, but a lot of people think you can just feed those diets. And now, if you want to get real technical, you can, because they do put black soldier fly larvae and everything in there like that. But I find my geckos actually love insects such as mealworms. Now, a lot of people say they can't eat mealworms, which is true to a certain extent. I mean, that's like saying a leopard gecko can't eat mealworms as a baby. They can, but it really just depends. Coco doesn't like crickets, doesn't like dubia roaches, and she's got to get her protein in somehow. And also he's kind of skinny, so he eats the mealworms. He has no problem digesting them or anything like that, as long as you know that they don't have a problem digesting them, and as long as my geckos like to eat them head last, so then they can crush the head at the end. So make sure the head's dead, and don't worry about the insect eating your gecko inside out. I promise you, I have never heard of that happen, and if it does, I'll be the first to let you know. Anyways, So that's just my little rant on food. It really depends on what you do, but you're obviously going to need a gecko feeding dish. Now, the reason you're going to need this is so you can mix up your rapashi and Pangea and put it in there. And then you can also supplement with insects. And if you do feed insects, you're going to dust them in some multivitamin and D3 calcium. But again, you can watch whole different videos on that. And also, I do recommend watching other care guides just besides mine, because I know mine is not really like the best care guide in the world. So I'd also recommend watching other care guides. So now, you figured out feeding. You got your food ledge. That's also another, technically a decoration. You got your food cups or whatever you're going to be using to feed your gecko in. You got your rapashi. You got your insects if you want to, optional. Now we're going to talk about some handling. Now, I can't really do any clips of this because, you know, my Crested Gecko Coco does not really let me handle him at all. So sorry for no clips for this. But pretty much handling Crested Geckos are kind of tame with it, some of them, but you also get those bad apples who actually hate being handled like my Crested Gecko. So yeah, that's just really depends on your gecko for handling. I have a whole video on that. I'll link it in the description. Again, a lot of videos are linked in the description because you can only link 5 iCards up there, and I feel like that's kind of dumb, so I'm not going to waste my time. I'm just going to link them in the description. Now, you're handling your gecko. He's doing great. Now, what kind of maintenance are you going to have to do in this tank? Like, huh? Now, if your tank is bioactive, no maintenance, just spot cleaning the poop. That's it. Easiest thing in the whole entire world. And misting the tank, obviously. You're going to need to mist the tank probably twice a day. I recommend misting it pretty heavily in the morning and pretty lightly at night, because I have a whole video on that, link in the description, about humidity cycles with reptiles, and I explain how humidity actually really does work in the wild with reptiles and stuff like that. So that's a pretty good video. Go watch that. But like I was saying, if you have a setup that's not bioactive, you're going to have to change that substrate once a month. So say it's EcoEarth or ReptiBark or something, you need to take all that substrate out, put all new substrate in once a month. Now you don't, and if they poop on the plants, you can kind of just wash it off and stuff like that. So that's how you clean your Crested Gecko tank if you were to do it that way. Some other maintenance you might have to do is you can hand feed your Crested Gecko. You don't. This is not a chore. You just can hand feed your Crested Gecko. It's pretty cool to hand feed your Crested Gecko. So yeah, I think that's everything. If I did miss something, make sure to comment it down below. But yeah, make sure to comment it down below. Thank you guys for watching another of my videos. If you guys did enjoy today's video, let me know in the description, the comment section below. If you didn't enjoy, leave a dislike and let me know why you disliked, because just to let you know, the dislike still boosts my video and helps the algorithm. So dislike if you want. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Make sure to do your research, and I'm Izu telling you, I'm out. Peace.